What's up, party people? I'm Chris Manning. That's Evan Dammarell. Today is Locked on Cavs. We're going into Cavs Nets, talk about Lauri Markkanen's return, and talk about other Cavs things. As a note, if you're listening to this, we're going to go live at 6:30 p.m. Standard Time in the Eastern Time Zone. That was a very complicated way of saying that, but we're going to go live tonight, do an hour show ahead of the holiday. That'll be our Wednesday and Thursday show combo. We'll get to the Suns game, which takes place Wednesday on Friday show, just as a kind of an outline of what the week is going to look like. But we're going to go live, hour done, take your questions, talk through other Cavs stuff, reflect on the year, maybe do some Thanksgiving bits. But that's going to come up on our live show tonight. Again, 6:30 on YouTube. Be there or miss out on the fun. All right, let's get into today's show.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Before we get into today's show, I want to tell you that today's episode is brought to you by TrueBill. TrueBill is the new app that saves you money by helping you identify and stop paying for the subscriptions you don't want or need, and can even negotiate better deals on those you want to keep. Evan, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. Just want to give a quick shout out at the top to listener to the show, Corey. Prior to Cavs Nets, I have a grocery store in the bottom of my building, and to fuel my caffeine addiction, I grabbed a Red Bull prior to the game, and I was standing in line, and this guy walks up to me and says, "Hey, man, I love the show, and I know you're not a Colin Sexton hater." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man, no problem." So shouts to Corey, really cool dude. It was really nice meeting him. I told him I'd give him a shout out on the show. I gave him a shout out on Twitter.com, of course, but man, I'm good. All things considered, it is we're highly invested in Locked On Cavs. We look like some Miami of Ohio grads right now, but other than that, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. We're doing. Had a nice hot yoga class this morning, really cleansed the brain.
I'm glad
Good
you
times.
said something because I wasn't gonna comment on you doing hot yoga because I was just like, good for Chris. I hope he finds some zen. I do regular yoga.
You should come through and go. We'll do a Locked On Cavs night at Modern Yoga in Strongsville. It'll be a good time. Telling
Yeah,
you, it's really
no,
good.
sounds fun
Sweat
to
out,
me.
sweat out those toxins. You feel like absolutely drained after, but it's really
Well,
cleansing. And
you are dehydrated, so
you hydrate before, you hydrate after. It's fine.
that's why you feel like the toxins are leaving your body and you feel like garbage because you're dehydrated. But yeah, no, I am a huge believer in yoga myself, so I get it.
Hot yoga is big deal.
I haven't tried it hot. I normally run hot to begin with. I'm a sweaty large man, so it'd be a sight to behold. But glad you enjoyed yourself. Hopefully your skin didn't dry out like Kevin Durant's ankles. There's the first comment on it
There
tonight,
we go.
or today, I should say rather. But yeah, I thought this was a fun game in the grand scheme of things. And when the Cavs lost, I just kind of Mac Robinson was sitting with me in the press box as he usually is, and I'm like, I didn't expect them to win this one, but hey, they fought hard. Like that is the most endearing thing about this Cavs team is I don't expect them to win most games, but when they go out there and try their hardest, it's fun to watch. At least I'm not watching like a slow march towards death. It's been enjoyable.
Yeah, a slow march towards death could have been this, but it was not. The Nets kind of came out kind of slow and kind of choppy. This wasn't a game where like they got the doors blown off of them in the way you might expect. LaMarcus Aldridge had 21. Durant was only 8 of 19 from the field, but was 10 of 10 from the line. Harden was only 5 of 10 from the field. Only took 4 free throws in his 38 minutes. For the Cavs, Lauri Markkanen had 22 points on 7 of 17 shooting in his return. Isaac Okoro had 15, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals on 4 of 9 shooting, including 3 of 7 from 3. Jarrett Allen had 20 and 15 in his return, and Darius Garland, 39 minutes, 24 points, 9 of 27 from the field, 11 assists against just 2 turnovers. And Ricky Rubio had 16 off the bench. Evan, your MVP for this one is whom?
Well, I'm going to go a little out of the box in this one because I think there's a few good picks. Jarrett Allen had a good game. Darius Garland had a phenomenal game. Isaac Okoro played really well. Ricky Rubio was pretty good off the bench. But I'm going to go with Lauri Markkanen because he kind of goes hand in hand with what I've been watching with the Cavs, at least in the last few games, and especially last night. But Lauri, this is the best game he's had so far as a Cavalier. He got some really easy, wide open looks from 3. I think that is a byproduct of this offense and having to play alongside of the interior pressure of Jarrett Allen and also Darius Garland, just kind of further getting the reins of the offense here a little bit. Yeah, Markkanen was fun. I don't think we give him a lot of shout outs throughout this, so it was a good game for him. He's my MVP pick. How about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Darius Garland because I think the offense kind of flowed through him. Not the best shooting night, 2 of 10 from
Nah.
three but
The
the
fact that
volume
he
is
got his
interesting.
like face caved in and he
Yeah,
was on the ground for a solid couple minutes and then came back and played like it's an overblown cliche, but this Cavs team showed a little grit, a little heart, if you will.
yeah. I was just I did have like a brief moment of like imagining what he would look like in like the black mask, a la like Kyrie in MSG all those years ago.
Or like still one of my all-time favorite pictures is when LeBron's like pretending to load a gun and he has the black mask on and like it's the black throwback Heat jerseys and there's like flames going off in the background. It's like the most menacing picture ever. I wish the NBA would like let black masks be a thing.
Yeah, the clear ones look kind of weird, but I just think Garland remains like really, really just kind of vital to everything they're doing, especially without in this post Colin Sexton world, at least at least for this year. It also wasn't like a good Rubio night. This is one of the
No.
shakier games Rubio has played, and Garland, despite the shooting woes, like had an 11 assist, 2 turnover night. Like you kind of have to feel pretty good about that. Evan, your stat of the night is what?
It's Lauri Markkanen's threes, but it's more so the fact that the Cavs surpassed 100 points without Colin Sexton on the floor. I think fans are being really weird. I think there are certain folks who try really hard to be the best fan possible when it comes to just being players. I'm not going to tell you how to fan, but I just think it's weird. But I think people like wringing their hands and obsessing with the fact that the Cavs aren't scoring well without Colin Sexton. Yeah, the Cavs scoring production is going to go down, but they're getting healthier too. And having Jared Allen and Lauri Markkanen, especially from three back, helps with that. I think getting Evan Mobley will make it even better too. I mean, this is like a bad defensive Nets team by any stretch of the imagination. So them scoring 100 points isn't a huge surprise to me. And that's my stat of the night. What's yours?
I'm gonna go just the overall kind of shooting for the Cavs, 36 and 93. It's pretty basic, but 38.7% from the field versus 47% from the Nets. The Nets, these teams took only like two shot. It's only a 2 shot difference. The Cavs actually took 11 more threes than Brooklyn did in this one. If the Cavs would just like shoot a little bit better, like if Garland has a little bit of a better night, if Rubio isn't 4 or 12, etc., like there's little
Mhm.
things that if they just kind of go Cleveland's way, like they could win this game. I mean, like we'll talk about the officiating, but the Cavs like
Yeah, I was
had
gonna
a
say the
like
one
the
thing that really didn't go Cleveland's way is what we're gonna talk about in the next segment.
yeah, but like the Cavs did have like an 11 free throw advantage. Like that, like I understand like there's some other parts of it that are complicated. But like they did have a 11 free throw advantage. They only missed 3 of those free throws. Like if they just had a little bit more of a normal shooting night, they win and like would have picked up a win in against a Nets team that like on paper should beat them. Evan, play of the night for you is what?
The Darius Garland no look pass leading to a Jared Allen dunk. I think it was in the fourth quarter. I think it's really fun that the Cavs try to go for these hype plays in kind of tight situations to kind of get the crowd going and also get the bench going as well. Like in years past, this Cavs team would clam up a little bit and they would not really try to go for the flashiest play. Maybe they go for the boring move or something like that that just doesn't work. And it's refreshing to see Darius more and more take reins of this offense and players like Jared Allen benefiting, who's still leading the lead in dunks. Last time I checked, benefiting from it.
Yes. That would have been my play as well because I think Darius just playing with his head up and Jarrett being a guy who just runs the floor really well is just
Their
like
on
a
floor chemistry's incredible.
it's outrageous. And I think like those two having some ability to kind of create some easy buckets in that sense is just like a good thing. Mine is just going to be Jared Allen. Second quarter, early first quarter, about 3 minutes into the game, blocks a shot. Cavs are able to push the ball down the other way. Isaac feeds up to Darius. Darius hits one of the threes he hit in the game. It's block. It's a transition three. Jared Allen, like one of the things I think the Cavs desperately missed about him is just that backline protection. They'll obviously be even better when they get Mobley back as well. But I think Jared just being a guy who actually can credibly protect the rim, can alter shots, can kind of kickstart stuff in that way as well is just like a kind of a really key ingredient to what the Cavs are trying to be this year. So for me, it's Jared Allen. blocking a shot in that way and kickstarting a situation where Darius could hit a transition three on the pull up. But Evan, we're going to take a break here and come back as I fix my camera just a tad. After the
It's
break,
Cloverfield Manning,
that's
folks.
right. We are going to talk about the reffing because JB Bickerstaff had a lot to say about it. But first, got to tell everyone about our friends at Shopify. Look, there's a new sound. There's that little new shell sound that goes off in your head when you make a sale, and that's sometimes just it's a new sale on Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. In case you don't know, Shopify is a complete commerce platform that lets you start, grow, and manage a business. The subscription-based software allows anyone to set up an online store and sell their products. Shopify store owners can also sell in physical locations using Shopify point of sale (POS), their point of sale app, and accompanying hardware. Scaling your business is a journey of endless possibility, and Shopify helps you make your entrepreneurial dreams come true. Shopify powers over 1.7 million with an M businesses from first scale to full scale, reaching customers online and across social networks with an ever-growing suite of channel integrations and apps, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and more. Shopify allows you to gain insights as you grow with detailed reporting of conversion rates, profit margins, and beyond. So go to shopify.com/LockedInNBA, that's all lowercase, for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/LockedOnNBA right now. That is shopify.com/LockedOnNBA. Evan, the reffing in this game was, I think, one of the big talking points afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you, for the listeners that may have not seen this, may have not read some of the news stories about it, seen the quotes about it, watched the videos, whatever. What did JB Bickerstaff have to say about the media, or to the media?
About the
So
media.
JB Bickerstaff just going all in. He's like, actually, guys, I have some critiques on your story structure, and I want to dive into this. But
He's going full Trumpy and saying, "Let me talk to the fake news, folks. Let me see the fake news,"
just
and starts
just
whack.
glares at people. But what did he have to say about the reffing and his thoughts on it?
He thinks it's unfair how the Cavs are being refereed on most games. Like Chris and I are talking about this prior because we haphazardly planned this show at times. Golden State's a good example of this, where Golden State was getting certain calls in the second half. This Brooklyn game was a really good example of it, of like KD and Harden and just the Nets having an all-star roster 1 through 15 for the most part, getting a lot of calls. And JB's just like, I don't know what else we as in the Cavs, have to do because we play hard every single night. Oh, we're not a team that you can come into Cleveland and kind of disrespect us anymore. We play hard. We will play you wire to wire. I mean, I can pull up the exact quotes.
I have some in front of me if you want. If I
Yeah.
can read after you kind of finish talking.
So he's frustrated. I think a fine is definitely going to be incoming, but he just thinks it's unfair because his team plays really hard on a night-to-night basis, and he feels like that they're not just playing the opponents; they're also having to fight against the referees as well. Because JB has gotten a few texts already this year for getting in the face of refs and yelling at them about calls he questions. I think he's a coach who will go up to bat for his players more often than not, which is a very good thing. That's how I coached basketball. I told my players, hey, don't yell at the referees or say anything to them if you don't like a call. Let me
Okay,
be the
Evan.
guy.
But Evan, for context, can you explicitly say what who you were coaching in basketball, just so people don't get
Seventh
it?
and eighth grade Wadsworth basketball, but
That's
I
right.
told my player it's obviously didn't coach. Chris, if I was an NBA coach, I wouldn't be hosting this Well, actually, no. If I got the
Yeah,
opportunity to
you.
host this multi-quintillion dollar podcast,
Yeah,
I
that's right. You don't get Cybertrucks coaching. Coaching NBA basketball. You only get it hosting Locked On
well,
Cavs
if
here
you're
on
coaching the
YouTube and
Warriors,
WKOC.
maybe, or if I coach the Lakers, which is they play at crypto.com arena now or whatever the fuck it's called. It's just so stupid. JB just feels disrespected, and I think the players do too. He said more or less the players feel disrespected by the lack of fair officiating. I think that's just the unfortunate reality of the situation. I think it's going to come into play when they play Phoenix tomorrow. When they Chris
Winners
Paul
of
and Devin
13 in a
Booker.
row, the Phoenix Suns. Very good team.
I think the Cavs, when they kicked the shit out of the Cavs in Phoenix, started that win streak too. So
I think you're
that's
right.
always fun to think about. Maybe it's a fun way. Maybe the Cavs can end it. Probably not. The Suns are incredible, but JB just doesn't think the Cavs are fairly officiated, and I agree to an extent. Like this Cavs team plays really, really hard. the refs do miss calls. I think they do. Like, I think that's, you have to account for human error. Like, I think baseball, like, that's the toughest thing. Like, I would never want to be the home plate ump in a baseball game because there's a lot of pressure in those scenarios. But yeah, JB's just going to the bat for his players. I think he's just saying, like, listen, we're not being fairly officiated, and I don't know what else they have to do because they do scrap, and a lot of players do disrespect. A lot of opposing teams do disrespected by those coming into the building because they think the Cavs are still an easy win, and clearly it's not because, like I said at the top, I didn't expect Cleveland to beat Brooklyn, didn't expect them to beat Golden State, but they kept it entertaining, they kept it competitive for all 4 quarters, and that's all I can really ask for at this juncture with this team.
Here's the quote, and then I have a one thing I will note on this. Quote, we have to continue to keep pushing and keep scrapping until everybody in the league gives us that respect. The scrap, the toughness, the way we compete. People should respect that. But I don't think they're watching. I don't think they've seen the reputation that we've earned around the league. If you talk to other coaches, the teams we faced, there's a respect there that we deserve and that our guys have earned. But too many times there's been critical moments where the consistency has been the same hasn't been the same one end to the other end. The other thing I'll just say is I do think, Evan, when you've watched the NBA this year, have you found I have found myself just in terms of the flow of the game, in terms of how it is broadly being refed with the lack of, they're not calling the lean in fouls anymore or all that stuff. I
I was
tend to
about to
think that
say,
I think the product has been better. And if this is
yeah,
like like if teams are maybe not getting some of the calls they're expecting as they kind of navigate this, I kind of think that's better for the game itself. I can understand how a coach would be frustrated, but like I can't eloquently like express some of this in the way that like the folks at Nerder over at the Athletic, Dave DeFore, Seth Partnow, Mo DeKeel have talked about this a lot on that podcast. It's very good. Go listen to it. But like I think the flow of the game this year has just been better. And like if this is a product of letting guys play a little bit and they're gonna have to like navigate this as they kind of figure stuff out. I don't know if it's just like a respect thing. I can understand that's part of it. I kind of wonder if this is just like part of how the game is being ref to some degree. And again, the Cavs did have an 11 free throw advantage,
yep.
like on a team that has James Harden and Kevin Durant. Like
Yeah, James Harden, who up to this point has more free throws attempted and made than he does feel, or yeah, in terms of 3 pointers. Like, James Harden's a very good 3 point shooter. He has made more free throws. Like, James Harden really benefited from this whole just shot foul hunting situation. Trae Young benefited from a lot too. I think you're seeing players having to adapt. I think it's the funniest thing that people think that James Harden's now washed up just because he can't draw free throws. Like, my man's almost averaging a triple double this season for the Nets. He's just fine, but I think the Cavs are trying to navigate trickier waters. I think there is a little bit of disrespect. I think the refs are letting teams play a little bit more. I think that can be frustrating, especially when, I mean, let's put it into perspective here. Let me pull up the stats actually from last night as I spiral here a little bit. In the 4th quarter alone, like at the top, the Cavs are out. Well, sorry, in the 3rd quarter, the Cavs were outscored 32-19 by Brooklyn. Brooklyn attempted 3 free throws, and the Cavs attempted 8. So clearly, it's not just the referees are out to get the Cavs. I think it's more so the fact that they're playing some of the best teams that are probably going to be playing late into the season at this point in their season, and it's not going to get easier. Yes, they play Orlando soon, but they also play Miami, Washington, Utah, etc. after that. So I just think the reality of the situation for this Cleveland team hitting into, like, yeah, they're a fun team and they're completely healthy. I think they can hang with teams. I just think they're playing better opponents on their schedule now, and I don't want to necessarily say scheduled losses, but I have
it's
lower
just it is,
expectations of
yeah,
them winning.
it's
Like the
just hard to
refs,
navigate.
the refs didn't allow Brooklyn to score 32 points and completely take, like, the Cavs built a pretty comfortable lead at halftime.
Right.
The refs didn't allow Brooklyn to completely claw back into the game. That's more so the youth and experience and defensive scheming on the Cavs part. And there's nothing you can do about that too. Like I said, I
Yeah.
shrugged my shoulders and went, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lose sleep over this one.
Yeah, Evan, last thing before we go into break and afterwards, we'll talk about Lauri Markkanen's return. But do you have it? We haven't talked about this, and I feel like we just kind of should because it fits what we're talking about here. Do you have an opinion on take fouls? Like, is there like do take fouls bother you? Do you have like a solution that you've read about or like you've liked? Like, because I have take fouls have been the thing that annoy me most watching. Like, aside from like how long it takes to get through the end of a game, I think take fouls are one of the worst things that deprive us of some of the most exciting parts about basketball. And Robbie Calland and Mike Prada are some of the people that wrote about this, but I think adopting like the advantage rule is one of the best ways to go. And then there's like, if guys start like fouling really hard, then you just eject them, and you try to make it really hard for them to kind of still foul in the situations. Like, I think you're depriving so much of the game with those kind of open floor take fouls. Do you have any thoughts?
I can't think of a proper solution. Yeah, I think I agree with you fully. They kill opportunities for fun basketball. They completely screech games to a halt. They can get really bad if you have a bad free throw shooter. Like when the Cavs would have Andre Drummond on the floor, teams would like seek him out like a cruise missile to foul him to extend the game a little bit. So then you don't have to use timeouts in that scenario. Like I can't think of a proper solution. I think the advantage thing is a good way to adopt it as well. That you're saying like, okay, still have the ball, and just maybe adopting some of the NCAA policies would be helpful too in terms of fouling in like the last 2 minutes and things like that. There's a lot of things like I don't agree with the NCAA, but like football overtime, I think the NFL should adopt that rule too. But yeah, I don't really have a proper solution. I think you and I are on the same page on this one, and it is frustrating and it does kill the flow of things and what is turning into a very fun season. Like, I also agree with the other take. Like, I think the games are being fairly officiated, and I think this is the most fun I've had watching basketball as a whole because you don't see teams kind of like just adapting to let's hunt for fouls, and like that is the most boring form of basketball to watch. So
Yep.
I don't have a proper solution right now. I don't think I'm educated or informed enough, but there's definitely that might be the next revision. And like you said, maybe they do the advantage thing. Maybe if they foul hard enough, they just eject people. And if you crack down hard enough, if there's fines, things like that involved, like it might just figure itself out soon after that.
Yeah, I will put a Robbie wrote about this at Dime. I will put that in the show notes. Again, after the break, we're going to talk about Lauri Markkanen and what he looked like in his return. Evan, you got some ads to read though.
I do. I had to clear my nose passages before I did this because do you know why free trials renew without your consent? It's bullspit. It's a business scam out to get you. Do not let greedy corporations pocket your money. Download TrueBill to take control of your subscriptions. TrueBill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't want, need, or simply just forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with TrueBill. Because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, TrueBill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts and TrueBill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. And your TrueBill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions so you don't have to, or if you just need a friend at 3 a.m. when you're feeling a little lonely because you can't sleep. TrueBill has over 2 million users that have helped save them over $100 million, which is, pocket change for Locked On Cavs. That's still a considerable amount of money. So do not fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at TrueBill.com/LockedOn. NBA. Go right now, TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. It could save you thousands a year. TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. This episode of Locked On Cavs is also brought to you by Rock Auto. With their ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it is now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Wind off list pointless or seemingly intimidating questions and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home or in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30%, 50%, or even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? Rock Auto's prices are reliably low and are for every customer, and they have everything you need from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today and find a solution for your auto parts needs. So if you're interested, go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box? They know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliable low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Check them out today at rockauto.com.
Evan, what did you think of Lauri? Look at you coming in hot. We need
a little stuffy. My allergies are bad this morning, so sorry if everyone hears me going like, I'll go to rockauto.com today.
It's fine. It happens, The
weather in Cleveland,
it's gotten cold. The whipping a little bit. It's
my cat's a little cuddlier, and sometimes he rubs up against my face in the morning. I'm just like, that's nice, and I'm just like, that's not so nice.
Yeah. What did you think of Lauri Markkanen? 31 minutes, 7 of 17 from the field, 3 of 9 from 3, 5 of 5 from the line, 8 rebounds, had 1 assist, a block, a turnover, 1 foul, plus 5, 31 minutes again, as I said, and was back in the starting lineup, which was Garland, Okoro, Wade, Markkanen, Allen for the time being.
Well, the Cavs see the vision because they are also starting a 7-footer at the 3, like the Nets are with
Okay,
Kevin
okay. I
Durant.
knew you said this before. You've tweeted this. Like I knew you were gonna do it again. Get the bid off and then move on.
But hopefully Larry has a better skincare routine so he doesn't get roasted on social media for dry skin. KD, I get it, man. I got bad dry skin. It's that time of year too, but just go to Lush, man. They got the best stuff for your skincare needs, and it's all ethically sourced and not treated on animals, and it's vegan too. But I thought Larry looked good. Like I said, when I gave him his MVP shout out, is he had some pretty easy open looks for the Cavs. I think it's interesting because he was leaned heavily upon because Kevin Love talked about how his biggest adjustment to coming back from COVID is like just finding his ability to breathe on the floor again. And Laurie said that really wasn't a struggle for him. So I think COVID is just unique to certain people too and how they recover from it. But like he was nervous and you could tell he was a little jittered at first. And when he got smacked in the back of the head by James Johnson, I thought he had a concussion, but he played through it. So we'll see what the updates are going forward from here. But I think Laurie looked good overall. Like I see what the Cavs are trying to do here a little bit. He put a shooter out there. I think it makes Isaac Okoro's life easier because Isaac had like the best game of his young season so far. Just
He's gonna be fine. I
yeah,
really think he's just gonna like. Is he gonna be a
people are
plus on
overreacting.
offense? No, but
No,
he's gonna be fine.
he's not going to be like Andre Roberson on offense. Like I think that's a really mean comparison. But hamstring injuries are also tricky to come back from,
Yeah,
folks.
I
But
feel like I just also feel like I need to distance myself from like talking about Isaac Okoro until I finish doing the deep dive. That's a step
coming
beyond
soon.
perhaps what was written by another person named Chris this week.
But Larry looked good. He is a reliable passing target in the pick and pop scenarios. The Darius Garland, he played to his size for a little bit last night. He posted a player up and banged down low and got an easy bucket. Like Lauri Markkanen is an interesting player, and I think when he plays well, he's good, but when he's bad, clearly he's bad. I mean, like hot take on my part, but Bulls fans have kind of like been circling the wagons a little bit, waiting for him to
Yeah.
have
I
bad
got
game after
very
bad
and
game.
talking to both people, I got like like I got like no like he's just like fine. Who's either like he stinks or like he's like actually like okay if you put him in the right role. Like I only got like two
Yeah,
realities
that's what I got too. Like either like, oh my god, he's a bust, or oh, he could still be like the next Larry Bird, but 7 feet
Mhm.
tall. And I'm like, but I think Lowry's fine. I think he's inoffensive on this offense. I think he makes Darius Garland's life better. I think he makes Isaac Okoro's life better. I think even Dean Wade benefited from him last night. I'm excited to see what Evan Mobley looks like. And Jared Allen also just enjoys that for extra spacing because you have to respect Lowry as a shooter a little bit. And JB talked about this a little bit last night too. Like you have to respect him on the perimeter. And I think teams like Brooklyn and going forward will respect Lowry on the perimeter, and it'll just make the life easier for a lot of the Cavs. And it's just exciting, man. I think 3-point gravity is a good thing. I think the Cavs playing a little bit more modern is a good thing, and it's fun. I don't know. Like I enjoy watching Lauri Markkanen play, and I like what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I was looking through some of the lineup stuff this morning, and we're at a point with him where we have not seen him play very much in lineups where he's like not playing with
That's
two
my
other
other
bigs.
take. Hold on. It's a shame that he got COVID because he needs as much reps on the floor as possible with the Cavs players because he really needs to gel because they paid a lot of money to bring him in. And
Yeah,
it's unfortunate he was out for 2 weeks because I'm just like, he
yeah,
makes life so much easier for this lineup, but he needs
yeah.
to be comfortable with this lineup too.
Right. So I think you look at like who he's played with through this year and kind of on overall his the other people he's played with in the front court have been Mobley and Allen, obviously. Um, he's played with Wade and Allen, Love and Allen, and then like you get into like if you dive down the list and clean the glass of like possession based who he's played with, there is not like a ton of him just like with like Jetty Osman is like the first time like you could go down the list. It's like Jetty Osman at 19 possessions. Um with it's Garland, Sexton, Osman, Markin, and Mobley, a lineup like we obviously can't see right now for because three of those guys are hurt. Like that's 19 possessions. That's the most common lineup he's played so far that where he's sort of a traditional big, and that's like kind of an interesting sort of wrinkle to this Cavs roster. I'm curious to see how that changes going forward. or how if at all, if it does. There's just like some little wrinkles there. I'm curious to see kind of how JB Bickerstaff tinkers with some of that. Yeah, it's also just like I think you alluded to, just like good for him to be back because the Cavs just like if they're gonna navigate what is coming for them, right? Like there's probably gonna be some defensive regression. Like I would just imagine there's gonna be a stretch where like the defense kind of evens out a little bit. Like hopefully they can get healthy and like some continuity will kind of help the offense a little bit. I think that's certainly part of it. But the schedule remains tricky, right? Like the schedule remains brutal. Like Phoenix, as we alluded to, is on a roll. You get the Magic on Saturday. The Mavericks are kind of yeah, but then like after that, it's the Heat, the Wizards, and the Jazz. Two of those games being on the road. You get the Jazz at home on a Sunday mid afternoon. But this isn't like an easy next 6 games. Like they're still just a really it's tough part to navigate here. And then after the Jazz, it's the Bucks and the Bulls and the Timberwolves who are better than you might realize. Then you get the Kings who are kind of just fired their coach. Then you get the Heat again, and then you get you should be a cupcake game against the Houston Rockets on December 15th. So like this
Is that
next
home?
stretch of that is at home. Yes, the Kevin Porter
Oh,
Jr.
Kevin
Home.
Porter Jr. return game.
Yes. There's a lot kind of coming up here. The schedule is there's a lot of good teams this year. The schedule is tricky. They don't have, very many let's just say like easy kind of games for the most part. They don't have like a soft part in the schedule for the foreseeable future, aside from like some one-off opportunities to maybe pick up a win here or there. Um, they got to take advantage where they can, and they got to win some of these games. They're 500 right now. That's certainly, I think, better than we expected at this point in the year. That's just certainly true. It's also just like we're in a position where there's still some stuff they got to figure out on the fly here, and watching how Markkanen looks is maybe like a good cipher as a way kind of into that. But Evan, let's wrap up on this. I'm on Shumpert, Dancing with the Stars champion. Congratulations to the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers world champ. Won Dancing with the Stars. Not a Dancing with the Stars guy. I know you're like actually like you have a pen name you blog about it under, but salute to Shump.
Yeah, salute to Shump.
Just breeze by the fact that I said you have a pen name for Dancing with the Stars blogging. That means it's true. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I partake in dancing. I enjoy reality. I enjoy trash TV. I enjoy reality TV quite
Oh,
a
I'm
bit.
not
I
saying
enjoy
trash
game
TV is
shows like
bad. I'm
this.
just Dancing with the Stars is like not my choice.
It's fun. I think it's fun, especially when you get some interesting celebrities on there. But yeah, shouts to Shump. He won big. Cleveland, this one's for you. It's just the Cavs, former Cavaliers, continuing to do successful things. He won Dancing with the Stars. J.R. Smith is a very good collegiate golfer. LeBron's doing things with the Lakers, obviously. Kyrie's leading the fight against vaccines. Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye are prospective, rising stars in the TV circuit. Like everyone's doing something big with themselves, and they're doing great. So, yeah, just interested to see what's next for which former Cat. I wonder what Tristan's gonna do next. I wonder if like he's gonna spearhead the Keeping Up with the Kardashians reboot. Like that'll be the next big move, I think.
Oh, what a time that'd be. Anyway, that's going to be it for us. Again, we'll be back 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, November 23rd, a 1-hour live Locked On Cavs ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. Until then, I'm Chris. He's Evan. Have a good one.